She was a superstar that made it to Hollywood with her beauty and wealthy background, being part of a rivalry through her life and even on the big screen with her sister. A career that was spanning over 50 years and being one of the youngest stars to win the Academy Award in old Hollywood. Having a love interest based on each big screen role she was notably hired for and even starring in with various notable actors. Even being part of one of the longest living Hollywood actresses that had ever lived until she died over 6 years ago. This is the actress Joan Fontaine, and this is her basic biography. Early life. Joan Fontaine's real name was Joan de Havilland, and she was born on the 22nd of October 1917 in Tokyo, Japan, to a father who taught at various universities in UK and Japan, and was previously an attorney or a lawyer. Her mother was a stage actress who was able to tour around the world and perform in various stage performances. Her sister was the living legend and is the living legend Olivia de Havilland, and would grow up together in the same household, even traveling with their parents around the world until their parents split up just before the 1920s, where her mother was able to move to the two of the children to the United States due to Joan's health. They all moved to California, where the heat was able to help Joan Fontaine to recover from various illnesses in which she caught whilst at school in the UK, as well as the environment being another factor of her causing her illnesses. She was able to get better and even attend schools in California, where her mother was able to afford and even pay for both Joan's and even Olivia's education at a young age. Sometimes, and even attending high school in California to achieve some higher education to better themselves to get good careers straight afterwards. She would attend school in Japan as well in order to see her father, and her mother would be remarried back in the United States. Acting career. In the 1930s, her older sister Olivia became an actress, with her first performance being a stage performance of the play by William Shakespeare, A Midsummer Night's Dream in 1934. She was able to see this particular play, and even had an interest in looking to become an actress herself, in which she could rival her sister's performances. However, this would be a long way to become to have this superstar rivalry, with a lot of power in the film industry was needed for on their side. Due to her passion now being orientated to become another great actress of the stage, which her older sister was becoming at the same time due to her beauty and passion of being a female lead. Joan was able to star in her first stage performance in the Call It a Day in 1935. After the stage performance debut in 1935, she was able to change her name to Joan Burfield, based on trying to get into many various stage companies to hire her. As an actress, she would still use this name throughout her early career. She would keep this name in the film industry, as the Halavan sisters were the both to concealing and basically making it more of a family orientated industry. With Hollywood be providing opportunity for both of them, Joan would change her name again, but to Joan Fontaine, based on her stepfather's surname, and even having her first movie being assigned from MGM Studios. This was a movie called No More Ladies in the same year as her performances. Whilst being a stage actress and having a bit actress role on screen, she was able to star in other movies in the remainder of the 1930s. Joan Fontaine had another movie that she could star in, and she was able to star in, called Quality Street in 1973, with another notable actress called Katharine Hepburn, and then starring in A Damsel in Distress in the same year with dance legend and Hollywood actor Fred Astaire. Later on, having time to star in blockbuster movies and playing love interests to many male actors of the time. She was able to star in war movies and westerns during the remainder or the start of World War II. She would star in movies with various actors such as uh, Cary Grant and Douglas Fairbanks in the movie Gunga Din in 1939, as well as being in a western called Man of Conquest, which was also released in 1939. Sibling rivalry in Hollywood. Joan Fontaine was able to become another great leading actress alongside with many more actresses at the time. But this meant she had to go up against her sister in most of the awards categories in the 1940s. This would be based on being competitive with her sister Olivia de Havilland at a young age, which would be a forefront in Hollywood, as well as being in her personal life, classing their rivalry to be part of a sibling rivalry to win the most Academy Awards as an actor or an actress in this case. Yet Joan Fontaine won her first Best Actress Academy Award in 1941, whilst Olivia would win 2 years later. They would contend with each other throughout their Hollywood careers, and only Joan Fontaine would receive one, and but Olivia would only receive two out of her career. The 1940s was not known for their rivalry as much, basically on these two sisters but was a great year for both of the sisters becoming best actresses in various movies. As the award-winning film Suspicion in 1941 would show that Joan Fontaine and Cary Grant were a great on-screen couple in the um, in the 1940s era. Even being able to be in having great director Alfred Hitchcock starting his early career in directing various horror movies and even thrillers. She would continue to provide great performances in many more films in the war era by playing Jane Eyre in 1943 alongside great actor Orson Welles. She was even starring in other genres that were loved by many audiences at the time, and even various comedies and even dramas, having her spin of being a superstar and still up against her own sister. The 1950s would have Joan Fontaine starring in dramas and even having time to star in comedies, where she was able to make people laugh with being a beautiful woman in awkward situations. She would even also star alongside Orson Welles again, but in the movie adaptation of another Shakespeare play, Othello, in 1951. And she would star in Ivanhoe in 1952 with her co-starring with George Taylor and even George Sanders. She even was in the comedy Casanova Big Night Out in 1954 with comedic legend Bob Hope. Her star was able to still shine in both the 1940s and the 1950s, sometimes making an appearance on television with her performances being shown on the small screen in the 1960s. Personal life and final years. Joan Fontaine was married at least 4 times in her life, and would have 2 children with her relationships. First husband was Brian Ahern from 1939 to 1945. Her second husband was William Dozer, and their relationship lasted from 1946 to 1951. Third husband was Collier Young, and their relationship lasted from 1952 to 1961. And the final husband was Alfred Wright Jr. from 1964 to 1969 that their relationship lasted from. Well, Joan Fontaine still carried on acting in Hollywood and now spending less time on the silver screen. As in the 1960s, she would star in some movies by managing to star in an adventure movie called Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea in 1961 with fellow actor Robert Sterling. Later on, she was able to star in television with her sister still carrying on the limelight and working on stage, cinema, as well as television, where she was able to spend some more time keeping up with the rivalry till the end of their lives, or end of Joan Fontaine's life. She won more awards, but not the Academy Award again, sometimes traveling around the world to promote her movies and even attends many events which she was invited to by many organizations. Her final film appearance was in 1994, where she was able to star in the movie Good King Winterslash, and then her final television appearance was in Crossings in 1986. She would retire officially in 1994 and still was able to contribute to Hollywood, with her sister still being a star and even having herself a star on the Walk of Fame based on her early years of acting. Legacy and death. Sadly, Joan Fontaine would pass away from natural causes on the 15th of December 2013 at the age of 98 in California, USA. She would be one of the longest living actresses of old Hollywood to survive with her sister, who would be still a rival on the big screen and even in real life. Joan Fontaine's legacy still lives on in books and movies, shown on the big screen and even having some of her family still acting even till today. Her sister still lives today and being classed as one of the longest living actresses of old Hollywood. Movies such as Hail Caesar in 2016 would parody the sibling rivalries, which same happened with Olivia de Havilland and even Joan Fontaine, their relationship. Even other movies still taking this style of drama to other levels of media. She was remembered for being one of the many greatest and even one of the best actresses of old Hollywood. She would still be entertaining us today with her movies, and even having time for her sister to even making some appearances after her death, or whilst they were in rivalry. But overall, learning from this and even finding out more about Joan Fontaine, is that she was still one of the greatest and one of the best actresses that was able to start living and becoming an actress from a rich life, whilst most actresses her age and her daughter and her sister's age or sister's time would be poor and making it rich, whilst this one was getting rich, the rich lady getting richer. But yet she will still be able to become one of the best superstars, with her sister as well, Olivia, is still being remembered today. And even her performances were the best, and even now shown on TCM and even other movies around the world. So please have a look if you need to. But thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't done so. My name is Suki Cookie, and thank you for watching.